Yes, that's right. My name is Leilani also. There were 2 Leilanis in our neighborhood. Our family moved into 21134 Baltic Avenue in Long Beach in 1972. And we didn't realize that right across the street at 21135 was also the other Leilani. You know, it was a happy coincidence and the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And, we made fast friends with each other, not only because we had the same name, but we were also in the same grade, and we were also the same age, except she was older by 9 months. and believe it or not, we also had a similar beauty mark in the same place on her neck. And so, now mine has faded with age, but so if you see it, try to look for it, it's going to be very light. But, we also came from very similar Filipino households. She had 1 sister and 1 brother, and I had the same. The only difference was that our birth order was different. She was the youngest of the 3 of them, and I was the oldest of the 3 of us. But I broke more of the Filipino parental rules than she did. My sister, who's here, can attest to that. But Leilani, I think that inspired her to want for her daughters, Pilar and Megan, more independence and opportunities. Leilani and I walked to the bus stop every morning for junior high school and high school. And we were transported to Andrew Carnegie Junior High. And that's where we met our friends who bonded so well together that we are still lifelong friends today. 3 of them are here with us, Darlene, Vicky, and Cheryl. And the others are scattered throughout the United States, in Idaho, Connecticut, Arkansas, Iowa now, and even Mexico. And a few of them are here with us now via Zoom. They begged me to live stream this because they really wanted to pay tribute to their dear friend. And so when we went to Banning High School, people could recognize what a powerful friendship we had, that they immediately dubbed us as the Carnegie Girls. And it stuck with us our whole life. And so, in tribute to Leilani, I'm speaking on behalf of our Carnegie Girls. So I'm going to tell you some stories, and they're stories they wanted me to share with you. But I'm going to tell you one that is a favorite of mine. And this is what Leilani and I shared. And it is called the Captain Crunch Binoculars. I don't know if anyone else has heard it, but when we were in junior high, Leilani and I eagerly fished for those Captain Crunch binoculars in the cereal box. And we would take them with us to school after we were dropped off by the bus, and we'd rush to the 2nd floor of the building in our school, Carnegie, that overlooked Carson Street. And so we would station ourselves there, get our binoculars out, and spy on the boys we had crushes on. And when we spotted them, that was a very good day. Another story that our friend, first of all, I'd like to say that when we heard about Leilani's passing, our words were saddened, heartbroken, devastated, with disbelief, because we had just seen her a few months ago, and she was healthy, and she was meticulous about her health, so it was such a shock for all of us. One of our friends from Idaho, Lori, she wanted me to share this story with you about Leilani when they were in orchestra class together in junior high. They played violin, so there were 3 of them, Leilani, Lori, and Grace. And Leilani sat at the edge on the right, Grace was next to her on her left, and Lori was sitting in front of her. They played violin. And so periodically, Lori and Grace felt water splatter on their back, their neck, or their arm. And so they couldn't figure out where did this come from. But it turns out that Leilani had a miniature squirt gun that she put in her purse. You know, these were leather purses in the 1970s. And I don't know if you remember, they were kind of leather, but they were not stitched really fully closed, so there were little holes in them. And so she would position her squirt gun in those little holes and squirt Lori and Grace. But Lori was so enamored by this miniature squirt gun, she wanted to get one for herself. So she pestered her mother every time she went to the grocery store to look for that squirt gun, and she found it. So Lori and our other friend May would squirt people down the hallways. But Leilani was so bold, she did it in class. And you know what? The teachers never suspected her because she was such a model student, and they would never think she would do such a thing. And so, you know, she would pretend to be rummaging in her purse for like a tissue or whatever, but she'd actually be squirting our friends. and then, so let me see what else here. Did you know that Leilani could cuss like a sailor? She had such a beautiful smile, right? You would never think it. So in junior high, we were so glad that she would be by our side if we ever had a fight, a verbal fight with someone else, because she had our back, definitely. But again, our friend Lori, who's in Idaho, one day asked her such a profound question that it changed the trajectory of Leilani's cussing. And the question she asked Leilani was, how can such a pretty girl let such ugly words come out of her mouth? And that so impacted Leilani that many years later she told me that she did so appreciate Lori gently chastising her in that way. Fast forward to just about maybe 5 or so years ago, Leilani was telling me about a storage room at her high school where she worked. She said it became a dumping depot for all things that people didn't need, or, well, they might need it, but they didn't know when. So she told me that she made it her mission to organize and clean that room. So she would just take 15 minutes every day just to go declutter that room. And eventually, it was transformed. So I use her bits of wisdom now today to declutter my home office, my spare bedroom, and even the garage. Who would have thought just a bite size of time could make a huge difference? And so, you know, speaking of it was her methodical nature. And so one of my other friends who's in Iowa now wanted me to share this. You know that Leilani was able to train her cats, all those cats that you heard earlier, how to ring a bell that she connected to the indoor door of her garage. So if they rang the bell, she knew they wanted to use the litter box. And it takes a lot of effort to train that of a cat. But Leilani was so attentive that she knew the ring of each cat's bell. If it was a gentle ring or a more aggressive ring, she knew who that cat was. And so we have our friend Heidi, who lost her husband of 42 years recently. And so she had a puppy to keep her, you know, for companionship. So Leilani told the story at one of our gatherings at the Carnegie Girls this past March. And so Heidi taught her dog Winnie how to ring the bell when she wanted to go outside. And so Heidi now tells me every time she hears Winnie ring that bell, she can't help but think of Leilani. So I think what you said, those trigger moments kind of remind us of her. And then I'd like to share with you that all of you know she had a very kind, as I mentioned earlier, we lived right across the street from each other. So when her father still lived in Riverside, she would visit her dad. And then, but then she would go stop by and visit my parents, my mom and dad, just to say hello. And invariably they would invite her to sing with them, because I had put together a songbook of their favorite songs. So Leilani was a good sport. She would sing along. So she could belt out Que Sera Sera and Frank Sinatra's My Way. And so my parents were delighted whenever she came to visit and thought, what a wonderful friend that she is. So we thank you, Leilani, from the bottom of our hearts for a lifetime of friendship and adventures. We were privileged to share in your journey in this life, and we offer you rest in peace to our beautiful fellow Carmelita.